What if your greatest strength is also the reason you're always mentally exhausted? Not your workload, not your schedule, not even stress in the way most people describe it. Something quieter, something that runs in the background of every conversation, every room you walk into, every interaction you have with another human being. Your brain never fully switches off, and most people around you have no idea that's even happening. Here's what a typical moment looks like for you. Someone says, "I'm fine," and you hear it, but you also notice the slight flatness in their voice, the way their smile arrived half a second too late, the way their eyes moved just before they answered. You didn't decide to notice any of that. It simply arrived, all at once, uninvited. While everyone else moved on, part of your mind stayed behind, quietly turning it over. This is what it means to have a brain wired for deep observation. Not a skill you practiced, a way of processing the world that runs automatically, beneath conscious thought. Some people move through a room and register the furniture. Others move through the same room and register the emotional temperature of every person inside it. If you're watching this right now, you probably already know which one you are. Why does this happen? There's no single answer, but several powerful explanations exist. Some people develop this kind of hyper-awareness in environments where reading other people's moods wasn't optional, it was necessary. A childhood where the emotional atmosphere shifted without warning teaches a young mind to scan constantly, to stay one step ahead of what's coming. Over time, that scanning becomes automatic, a background program running whether you need it or not. For others, it's simply how their nervous system is built, tuned a little louder than most, registering more information per second than the average person's brain filters out. Not better, not worse, just more. Always more. And for a while, this feels like a superpower. You understand people quickly. You sense things before they're spoken. You read rooms the way some people read books. But here's where things become complicated, and this is the part most people with this ability never fully get explained to them. Your brain doesn't distinguish between information that matters and information that doesn't. It collects everything with the same urgency. The meaningful glance and the meaningless one, the genuine tension and the passing mood. Every raised eyebrow gets filed. Every slight pause in someone's sentence gets examined. And because your mind is running this analysis constantly, in every conversation, across every interaction, it is working far harder than it ever gets credit for. This is why you can spend an entire evening at a social gathering doing nothing physically demanding and come home feeling like you ran a marathon. You weren't just talking. You were monitoring, interpreting, managing, processing waves of emotional data that nobody else in the room was even collecting. And it doesn't stop when you leave. The conversation replays. The moment someone seems slightly off resurfaces at midnight. You wonder if something you said landed wrong, if the silence meant something, if you missed a signal or sent one you didn't intend. Most people call this overthinking. It isn't quite that. It's a mind that was never taught how to stop receiving once the conversation ended. Over time, this creates something that looks like anxiety but runs deeper. A constant low-level exhaustion from being emotionally responsible for every room you enter. A quiet pressure to fix tension that isn't yours to fix. A tendency to shape yourself around other people's emotional states until you can't remember what your own actually feels like. Here's what changes everything. Noticing is not the same as absorbing. You can observe someone's pain without carrying it. You can register tension without becoming responsible for resolving it. You can see clearly without being pulled into everything you see. This is the shift, not learning to notice less, but learning to choose what your attention actually commits to. Not every signal deserves a response. Not every mood in a room requires your energy. Not every silence holds a meaning worth finding. Your ability to notice deeply is not a flaw. It never was. But it only becomes a gift when you finally learn what deserves your attention and what deserves your peace.